And I remember my auntie, she took me to my first concert, and it happened to be the Gap Band.
I know you're lying, right? Check this out.
Yeah.
My first concert, they must have been doing a worldwide tour. My first concert was the Gap Band, Rick James,
Yes, that was the show.
and Tina Marie
Yes.
and People Bryson. And we was at Market Square Arena, which they no longer have. And that was the best concert. We sat in the 11th row on the lower level, and it was just like I was just like in awe with those great performers especially when you talk about the Gap Band. I mean, but then to be followed up with Rick James and then
Yeah, I
Tina
remember
Marie.
Rick James and Tina Marie, but we had DeBarge on that lineup.
Yeah, we wound up having People Bryson. And I mean, oh my God.
Mhm.
That's a concert. Those are concerts you don't forget. I don't care how old you get, you don't forget that. But because that was your first concert and my first concert, what was that like for you?
Man, my auntie handed me the binoculars, and I was just like fascinated. And it just fulfilled it even more. Like, that's what I want to do. That's where I want to be. I want to be on stage. I want people to feel what I'm feeling right now, from these performers.
What Let me see. When that concert was here, I was probably like I was still in high school.
I was younger. Yeah, they introduced me to going to the shows probably when I was like 10, 11.
Man, you're lucky. You got to get in there at that
Yes,
age. Okay,
yes, I did.
you got a pretty good family, dog.
My auntie was popping. And she took her little niece up in there.
So we know growing up in certain parts of the country, especially when you talk about North Carolina, South Carolina, we talk about Georgia, or certain parts of Florida, dreams for something like that is almost, spoken. It's kind of like people say, oh, girl, you go ahead. And the far as that it becomes is, a dream because it stays in the church and that's usually as far as it goes. A lot of people don't feel like that you might get let down. How did you manage to maneuver through that? Was your family that supportive of you seeking that dream? Because let's get real, those parts of the region, it's not a lot of support for that, especially being a female. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, what really secured my confidence was school. They highly embraced music in school, where you had chorus, you had the jazz band, you had the marching band, you had, orchestra. So I was involved in all of that. And I had great chorus teachers. So by the time I got in high school, I was well known because I was always doing the national anthem for like the homecoming games and things of that nature. So by the time I got to high school, the band leader sought after me to be in the jazz band. And so that's when I started doing a lot of Irene Cara songs. So it was always there for me with my educators and the students that, I associated with who was also musicians.
You mentioned the foundation was through education. Did that carry on to college for you?